with emotional intelligence, it's not about when things are going well that emotional intelligence is important. It's when you're struggling. It's when times are tough. It's when things are really not going well for you. That's when emotional intelligence, especially in leading and coaching, comes to the fore. So emotional intelligence, and if you could put yourself on mute if you're not already on mute at the moment. I'm just getting a couple of background noises, but that's lovely. Emotional intelligence helps us create psychological safety. Connecting with staff through empathy can foster increased engagement. This in turn improves focus and productivity. Now, the 5 competencies of emotional intelligence are self-awareness, self-reporting, sometimes known as self-management, motivation, empathy, and social skills. So self-awareness is the ability to understand your strengths and weaknesses, your internal motivations, drives, and preferences, and how you appear to both yourself and other people. So can I just ask, who here has already had any NLP training? If you want to put your hand up. I know quite a few people come on to this lunch that are NLP trained, but it's not necessary. This is really to introduce you to the skills of NLP. Neuro-linguistic programming is the way that we can break down behaviour. It's the process of how we create behaviour. And we also work very much with how language influences behaviour. And we're working from someone's inside world, so their thoughts and their feelings, connected to what they actually do on the outside world. So lots of people, as I said before, talk about emotional intelligence. It's really good to promote your emotional intelligence. But actually, having NLP skills gives you the skills to help people improve their emotional intelligence. Okay. So the second competency is self-management, the ability to appropriately control the emotions that drive your behaviour in different situations, and the ability to think before you act. Motivation, the ability to direct your internal resources, your knowledge, skills, and attitudes towards a predetermined outcome or goal. Motivation under EI is nothing to do with when things are going well. When things are going well, I call that coasting. You don't have to really motivate. You might think you're being motivated when things are going well, but you're not having to go into your inner resources. When we work with neuro-linguistic programming, we work with something that I'd like you to write down. Now, we don't have any handouts with this. You can catch up on YouTube on the video. So write this down, make sure you get a pen and a piece of paper. And anything you want to photograph as we go through the slides, you can feel free to do. All behaviour comes from a thought. Write that down. All behaviour comes from a thought. We now know that. We now know that through neuroscience, which is absolutely phenomenal. So when someone is struggling, you've got to ask yourself, what are you saying to yourself? Because it's the self-talk and what you're saying to yourself is affecting how you feel. So one of the things we do from an NLP perspective with emotional intelligence is we get people to pay attention to their self-talk. How do you motivate yourself? What do you say to yourself to motivate yourself? How do you control and manage your emotions? How do you start to become aware of yourself? So it's really, this is only a 15-minute introduction, but it's really looking to see how you do things. That's the question we ask in NLP all the time. We don't ask why you're doing something. We ask, how are you doing that? And one of the quickest ways to do this for yourself is listen to your self-talk. Listen to what you're saying to yourself. Then we have empathy, and this is the ability to understand the strengths and weaknesses of other people, their internal motivators, drives, and preferences, and consider their needs and viewpoints. Within NLP, we have a technique called perceptual perceptions. Has anyone ever heard of that, or has anyone ever experienced that? And I see, hi, Justin, I can see, and Danny's here, nice to see you, hi. So who's heard or who's experienced perceptual perceptions? Okay, just a few of you. Perceptual perceptions is the ability that we have as human beings to actually see ourselves and hear ourselves from someone else's perspective. Now, when we bring perceptual perceptions into the training of emotional intelligence, very often I find the leaders and coaches that I work with, they might see themselves in a way that they've never seen themselves before. We actually were doing this. I was doing enhancing your communicating and coaching training. It was a public course we were doing in Birmingham, UK last week. And we had people on there who were not NLP trained. And we took them through this exercise. And what most people were actually able to do with this exercise was see themselves from an outside perspective, see how other people saw them. But more importantly, lots of them were able to feel how the other person felt. Now, think about it. We are doing this naturally all the time. Let me just put my mail off here. You can go into a shopping mall and you can look and you can go, they've just met. Look, they're young love. They've just fallen in love. You don't know them. You haven't got a clue what's going on, but yet you could put yourself into their perspective. You can go into an office. Who's done this where you walk in an office and you're walking down a corridor and you look into an office and you go, oh, I wouldn't like to be sitting in that meeting. That person's giving that person a really hard time. So we don't really know what's going on, but we're able to put ourselves into that perspective. So with NLP skills, with perceptual perceptions, that's one of the skills that you can use to actually see that. And then the last one is social skills, the ability to establish, maintain and develop relationships and communicate effectively to get what you want while respecting the rights of other people. In NLP, we have things like building rapport. We've got different techniques for building rapport. We've got different techniques for asking questions where you can really connect with people. We've got all sorts of techniques that help you really understand other people and understand what's going on in their inside world. In a 15-minute session, I don't have time to take you through any of these exercises in detail, but what I'm going to give you a list of some of the things that you can do to improve each of these competencies for yourself. So make sure you get a pen and paper to write this down, or just take a note of it on your computer, or you can take a photograph. So self-awareness. Be honest with yourself. Self-awareness all starts with, who am I? And it's about acceptance. I used to assist Paul McKenna. Some of you may know Paul McKenna worked for years. He's a hypnotherapist that he now works globally with working with hypnosis and mindset. And he used to run a course. He's got a book called I Can Make You Thin. It was a huge bestseller many years ago. And there was a lot of seminars that he ran from that. And I used to assist on these seminars. And what was fascinating, you'd have about 400 people in a room, and we would have full-length mirrors. Now, I Can Make You Thin. There was people that size, and every size in between. It didn't fit to any one person. But what was phenomenal to watch was hardly anyone could look at themselves in a full-length mirror, no matter what size or shape they were. When you're working with self-awareness, the first thing you're starting with is self-acceptance. You don't have to like yourself, but you have to be able to say, this is who I am. These are my strengths, and these are the areas that I may want to develop. So it's totally accepting who you are at this point in your life. Be aware of how you come across to others. We hear so often in business about managers who bully, about people who get other people angry. They didn't pay attention to me. They ignored me. They did this. They did that. However, when you actually get down and talk to the people that were allegedly doing this, they haven't got a clue they're doing it. What I'd like you to do, I'd like you all to say, you take your microphone off just for a second while we do this, because I want to hear you all do it. I want you to point yourself and say, I am the center of my world.
I am the center of my world.
I'm the center of my world. I'm the center of my world.
I'm the center of
No,
my
I'm the
world.
center. I'm the center of my world.
I'm the center of my world.
Okay.
I'm the center of my world.
Okay, if you just all put on mute again, we are all the center of our own world. That's how we exist in the world. So when you're in the center of your world, when you've got a problem, you're focusing on what's going on in your head. You're not maybe seeing someone who goes hello and you walk straight past them. I know there's a lot of, no, there's not really a lot. I'm well into 50 years now in business. It's not 30 years. 30 years with NLP. It's actually coming up to 35 years with NLP. But I'm over 50 years in business. And in that time, I've traveled all over the world. I've worked all over the world. I've come across a couple of really evil people. Nasty, really evil. But they're not that common. The majority of people that are impacting on other people have got no idea the impact they've got on other people. So this is one of the first, when we're going back to the self-awareness with emotional intelligence, notice how you're coming across to people, especially if you're a leader or a coach. Do you walk in such a way in people cowering? Or have you got a voice that makes people shrink back from you? So it's noticing how you come across. You can do this by asking other people, but just sometimes turning up your awareness of how am I actually coming across to others is huge. Know what you do well. This is so important, especially for women in business. Know what you do well and own what you do well. Be happy to talk about things that you do well. Yes, I'm good at this. That is not boasting. It's not arrogance. It's absolutely factual. No, I'm really good at project management. I'm really good at organizing. I'm really good at this. So really own what you're very good at. And then know what you need to change. When I first became aware of myself and how I came across with others in business, I was quite horrified. Because I used to start every question with, everything was according to me. And it was only when I started to listen to language, and I didn't mean to come across sounding as if it was all the Fiona show, because that's not who I am. But that's how I was coming across. Nobody had pointed it out. I traveled out, I ran bars and traveled the world for years. I didn't come into the world of business until my 30s. So I had no idea of this etiquette of working in teams, because I'd worked in a completely different world. So it's fascinating when you really come across and say, okay, what do I need to change? And then the second one, self-management. Know what you want to achieve. If you don't know what you want to achieve, you'll just flounder. The number of people in business who'll turn around and say, so-and-so got promoted and I didn't. Why is it everyone else around me gets promoted and I don't? I'll say to them, have you told people where you want to go? Have you spoken about your ambition? Have you spoken, if you've got your own business, have you actually got a plan of where you want your business to go? Now, on that note, if you've got your own business, not all businesses have to be multi-million-pound businesses that people have an exit plan and sell. I don't have that type of business. I have a lifestyle business. My business pays my salary. Pays a nice salary, but it pays the equivalent of a really nice salary. So it's knowing when you're managing yourself, it's knowing what you want to achieve. Knowing how to control your emotions and be adaptable. It is not about walking about with this face on you saying everything's okay. It's okay to be angry. In fact, it's very good emotional intelligence to be able to feel anger, but also use vocabulary to notice how you're feeling. What am I feeling? Am I annoyed or am I irritated? Am I frustrated? The more you can improve your vocabulary to say about what it is you're actually feeling, the better you'll feel about that, okay? So emotional intelligence is being able to allow yourself to get angry, but then know what to do with that anger, because anger is just energy. You can step away. An emotionally intelligent leader will be able to say to someone, when we were in the meeting yesterday and you did blah, 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 I felt myself getting really angry. But you don't say it in a state of anger. You say it in a state of you've come out of the anger, you're not in that anger, but you're able to talk about the different emotions you're feeling. That is really important for the self-management. And then set and achieve goals and objectives. Be very clear on what you want to achieve and let people know what you want to achieve. Learn from your mistakes. Mistakes are cool. Mistakes are okay. The number of people that beat themselves up because they've made a mistake about something, all successful people have far more failures than successes. You know that. But they don't give up when something doesn't work. If something doesn't work the way you expected it to work, that's all that's happened. What can you do to learn from that? So it's saying to yourself, what can I learn? Think about it. Think about an air crash, a plane crash. There's an inquiry and they break down in forensic detail what happened to prevent something like that happening again. If a surgeon loses a patient on an operating theatre, there's an inquiry where they break it down. Okay, what could we change to make sure that didn't happen again? Sometimes it's nature, you can't change things, but it's important to understand even the worst case scenario, you can break that down and learn from it. Look after yourself. Are you exercising? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you taking time out? Are you saying no? Are you booking in holidays? Are you booking in time with your friends and family? This is so important. The number of people that will put their work first and they don't put the value that we give to have an appointment with a client than they do to getting themselves healthy. If you don't look after yourself, no one else will. And the wonderful thing about being an emotionally intelligent leader or an emotionally intelligent coach is the people you lead and the people coach will model from you. So if you're already doing that, let people know about it. Encourage people to do that. Encourage people to take time to really look after themselves. Okay, any comments so far? Is this covering what you're looking to get today? Give me a wee thumbs up, just so I know you're all there. Yeah, that's lovely. Fantastic. And the next one is motivation. As I said before, you've got to know what motivates you. Motivation, what drives you when everyone's against you, when things are really tough. Understand how you get things done. And you do that by saying to yourself, how am I doing this? Think of the times that you've maybe been wanting to do something. Anyone, and let's just put this right out now, anyone who wants to be successful in what they're doing has to step away from the status quo. There'll be lots of people who don't want you to be successful because they want you to stay close with them. Okay? So you've got to say to yourself, what have I got? What resources do I use to get myself up and out there or up and doing something when there's no one else motivating me but me? And can you see, we can't answer this in just a 15-minute session because I wanted you to take these questions away so you can work on this for yourself. And then recognize the resources you draw on that keep you going when things get tough. What do? What do you say to yourself? What do you do? For some people, it's keeping very focused on their goals. For some people, it's talking to mentors. For some people, it's actually talking to other people they have in networks that helps them stay focused, especially if you're on your own. If you're running your own business, that can be a very lonely place to be. If you're a leader, once you get to a certain stage in business, it becomes very lonely. And this is why it's really important that business people have coaches. Coaches become confidants a lot of time when we're working with people as leaders in business, because we can help people identify how they get motivated. And then empathy. Consider things from the perspective of others. See if you can see things from someone else's perspective. You don't know what's going on in anyone else's life. Am I correct? Nobody knows what's going on in anyone else's life. There could be things going on that you know nothing about, especially when you notice a change in someone you're working with. Now, remember, we do this all for business and coaching. This is not, it comes under personal development. But what I like to think of with an emotionally intelligent leader is able to notice when one of their team members is not quite themselves. Now, you don't go up to them and say, what's wrong? You might go up to them and say, I noticed you've been a wee bit quiet this week. Do you want to come for a coffee? Do you want to chat? And if they say no, that's okay. but it's noticing changes in people and maybe putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Know what's possible to do for others or not. This is huge. Just because you know how to do something, or especially because when we work with neuro-linguistic programming, we know about creating your map of the world, and we know how people make their edited version of every situation by deleting, distorting, and generalizing information. So you can't assume just because someone has attended a training course, they know what to do. You can't assume that. Maybe there was something going on in their head where they weren't paying attention. So you're never assuming, it's checking to see what people can do, what's possible to do to not. Recognize and develop the potential in others that they may not see in themselves. In this course we did last week, we asked this question, and I want to ask this question to you now. I want you to write down who gave you a phenomenal break in business. Who was someone that recognized you, recognized something in you that you didn't recognize in yourself? Am I correct in saying everyone has one? You've all got at least one person, yeah? Have you ever thanked that person? Have you ever gone back to them and thanked them? Because if you haven't, go back and thank them. Because people from outside of ourselves can see things in ourselves that we don't see. Okay, and then help others develop or grow. Someone who's emotionally intelligent can help other people grow and develop, and they don't feel threatened that people are after their job. Then the last one here is social skills. Listen purposely to others. Find similarities with others. Notice how people are responding to you. Be aware of your and others' body language and nonverbal communication, and share your experience and knowledge. Really good emotional intelligent leaders are quite happy to share things that they'll share when things have been a real struggle. They'll share when they've struggled with something, but they'll tell people how they overcame that. Okay. So what I'm going to do, any questions or anything you want to feed back, because I'm going to put you in the breakout rooms for, let's see, 8 minutes, and you'll just chat a little bit with who's in there. You can introduce yourself and maybe talk a little bit about how you are using emotional intelligence, or how or it's something maybe you're taking away from what we've just covered. Okay, so let's just create that, and that's all the rooms are open. So we've got 8 rooms. Some of the rooms have got 2 in them. If there's no one in your room after a few minutes, takes a couple of minutes just for everyone to get there, come back and we'll put you in another room. Okay, so let's just get a little bit of feedback. What did you get from that? As everyone's coming back. So who wants to give me a little bit of feedback on maybe something you discussed in the room?
Sorry.
Hello.
Okay, that's everyone's back. Who would like to give me some feedback? I'll just take feedback from a couple of people, because I've got one more thing I want to show you before we leave. Let's get some feedback on what you've taken away from today. Yes, Magnus, yeah.
My takeaway, and that is based on experience with you and others also, that for me, emotional intelligence is be a good friend to yourself.
Yes.
Be also a good friend to others.
Yeah. But you've got to start with yourself.
Yeah. If you follow that path, you will show your emotional intelligence.
Thank you very much.
In your best way.
Yeah, thanks for that. And as you say, it all comes from starting from yourself, but being your emotional aware of yourself and everything that's going on. Okay, so who else? Thank you for that. One more. Okay, Deepti, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, the biggest takeaway is that knowing what is possible for others to do or not, the empathy thing. Because just now, 1 month back, I got a person whom I'm mentoring at work, and like when I am at the other side of the picture, I'm understanding how difficult, like how there are so many things I need to consider when I'm a leader versus when I'm just an individual contributor. So as I am learning to become my best as a mentor, so this is something really cool which I can use.
Yeah. And it's asking yourself, where are they? What do they know? Because remember, when we learn things in business, it becomes automatic. And I love the phrase, it's easy when you know how. And sometimes things become so automatically ingrained in us that we forget, maybe we struggled trying to learn that concept or trying to learn that maybe years back. And there's something that's so easy to us and so automatically for ourselves that other person doesn't know. That's fantastic. Thank you. Emotional hijacking, everyone can get triggered. The best people to trigger your emotions, your family. You know that. Your family know all the buttons to press. They're fantastic at pressing all the buttons. Now, of course, someone can trigger an emotional outburst in you. But you keep that going yourself. The people that are angry about something that happened to them maybe 20, 30 years ago. So think of people that something's happened to them maybe 20 or 30 years ago, and they're still angry. They're still furious. Do we all know people that do that? Yep. Okay. That person has kept themselves angry. Nobody can get into your brain and release the chemicals to allow you to be angry. You actually allow yourself to be angry. You keep that going. So the first thing you've got to do is you've got to claim it. You've got to know, I am keeping myself angry. Someone can trigger it, but it's me that's keeping me there. Name it. Develop your emotional vocabulary. Emotions have subtle differences, and the more different emotions you can recognize, the easier they are to name. Now, if you want to write this down, in case you don't know this one, your brain is compelled to respond to answer anything you ask it. Your brain is compelled to respond to answer anything you ask it. So if you just go, I'm angry, your brain will go, okay, let's give you anger chemicals to make you angry. But if you say, no, I'm not angry, I'm actually really annoyed. I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed. All of these words create different chemical reactions in the body. Once your brain knows what it's dealing with, what happens is you have tamed it. So naming an emotion tames it. And then all you do is understand emotion is only energy. In what direction can you aim that energy? Exercising, finishing a report, starting a project, etc. Who all remembers when they would come in at some point? We've all done this as children. You've come in and your mother or your carer or whoever was looking after you, they've come in and you've found them scrubbing the kitchen. They can't talk to you, they're scrubbing. And you go, there's nothing wrong with me. Okay. It's an incredible way. Cleaning is one of the best ways to get rid of all that emotional energy. So understand, if you're really triggered and get hijacked emotionally, just say to yourself, how can I use this energy? This is an incredible energy burst. How can I use it? Okay, thank you very much for being here. Let me just introduce, we've got a new NLP Advanced Communication Skills. This is a 3-hour modules. It's over 3 days on the 8th, 15th and 22nd of November from 1500 to 1800 UK time. The full price is normally it's $995. The early booking price is $700. And if you use the coupon code NLP Lunch, you get it for, sorry, that should say dollars, $525. That is the link there. And also, we've still got the NLP Business Circle Club, but let me just go back there. I also want to talk to you about the 45-minute strategy session. So if anyone would like to take advantage, I know some of you have taken advantage of this already. If anyone would like to take advantage of a complimentary 45-minute strategy session, you email at fiona@theprofessionalgrowthcompany.com. That's fiona@theprofessionalgrowthcompany.com. And I can take you through, it's 45 minutes where we work with you, and I introduce the NLP training, my NLP coaching programs that I have. But more importantly, I like to use that time to make sure you can take something that you can take away. Okay, so we'll be with you next Wednesday, and we're going to keep this running now till at least Christmas time. So we'll keep it running all through the winter. Thank you very much for coming along. It's really lovely. And the fact that it's it's just a wee 45 minute, but hopefully in that 45 minutes, you get something you can take away and you can connect with each other. And I'll put the recording off. If anyone wants to have a chat with me, I'll be here for about 10, 15 minutes. So give yourself a big round of applause. Thank you very much. And it's wonderful, this international community we've got of people that are looking to develop themselves. Go and have a lovely rest of the week, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Take care. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Thank you
everyone.
very much.
Lovely meeting you. Thank you,
Okay.
Fiona. Generous
Thank
as
you.
always.
Bye. Thank you.
Ciao. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.